All right, guys, we are back with the Skycast, and today I have a very special guest. Please, audience, here is Harry Hazza, and we wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit more. So I wanted to know, could you tell us a little bit about your 2K career, your 2K journey, and how all that, how you got started? Because a
Yeah,
lot of our
sure.
fan base, you know, I can say without a doubt wants to know more how to get into the 2K community, but with the way the scene has been going, it's been very toxic for them. So
Okay.
like I want to kind of, give them a way to being able to know how you got started, and maybe that gives them a way to go through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. So my approach was a little bit different to the many people who play 2K. I first started getting into the game around college when I was 18, 19 years old. I never really interested in basketball, never really watched it, played it until some of my friends who were playing at the time introduced me to the game.
Okay.
I go play park basketball with them, and they go back home and play 2K. So that kind of persuaded me a little bit to go grab the game and play with them. I didn't ever touch Park or Pro-Am. I was on my career, just playing that a lot, just getting comfortable with the game, enjoying myself. And it wasn't until the 2K League was announced that I genuinely started taking the 2K series. Um, I never played in a Prime team. I was by myself. I kind of eased my way into community by reaching out to others. I was engaged on social media. I started talking to people, finding out other people who within the community, and slowly building my way in there. My first kind of pro-am team was Mouse Gaming, so it's a little bit more difficult to compare myself to other generic 2K players. But I can understand that a lot of 2K teams or pro-am players are constantly looking for positions to fill. You go into park or you go into stage, a lot of people are trying to pick up some people, trying to get some runs in, and that's kind of how you build your character and your status as such, I guess you could say. um the best players I look out for are always probably grinding 24/7. They're on social media, they're looking for an opportunity, and you kind of have to take your time with that. You can't expect to be
You can't
there
make it an
to.
overnight thing,
Yes,
for sure.
exactly. That's a common misbelief that some people think because you had a couple good games or a couple good weeks of game time that suddenly this overnight sensation you can walk into any team. Uh,
And
I would recommend going slowly about it and building your way up into a team.
yeah, I completely agree with you on that, because for me, like I'm new to the 2K scene personally.
Mhm.
I've been watching the 2K League for years, but I haven't really touched base on it because each time that I got like wanted to get started, it was more like I met the wrong crowd and it just gave me the wrong experience that I wanted.
Yeah.
So for me, I've been seeing, I've interviewed quite a few different 2K players and their mindsets on it, and I tell them all the time is that, especially if you're talented, it's all about the grind at that point. Like you can't, like for me, there was never like I competed in competitive Call of Duty and Overwatch. So for
Mhm.
me, it was never an off season where I see all these top players or these players that was this close of getting drafted. They completely stop at the end of the draft instead of honing their craft for the next draft. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They completely stop playing the game or don't take the game serious. And then at that point, by next draft, the people who was honing their craft throughout the course of the summer or whatever, they're already ready. And then they're going up against, basically having to get their hands warm again on the new game. So I feel like what you were saying, like consistency and sticking it out and just grinding, because it's not going to be an overnight thing. Like you can think of some of the top professional players in different games. Like for example, a huge one was which is Tifu. Tifu took years before he got to where he was at.
Exactly.
Same with Ninja. 10 years in Halo before he got where he was at. You know what I mean? It takes time to get to where you need to be. So like I feel like, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. So on the second question we put together, being in the scene, you come across European players, you come across some, NA North American players. How, like, was there a different type of play style going against those type of players, or did you feel like it was the same? Because like you said, you wasn't like the normal 2K player that just got in. Your first team was with Mavs. So was you, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, was it a different play style from playing, you know, European players from the North American players, or just the same type
Yeah,
of
I guess there is quite a big play style, but I believe that's due to the lack of the high skill level in Europe. When I was in North America, the defensive play sets and styles were incredibly different to the ones back home in Europe. As I was brought into the league, players are swinging, they're moving, they're never standing still in one spot. They don't care about who they're guarding. It's whoever's open, where do I need to be? I'll be there at that point with no questions asked. When it comes to Europe, the play style differs a little bit. players are a little bit more timid on defense, try and stay home, play a bit too many mental games rather than just doing their role. And for me, that's quite a big difference. To become at the top, you kind of have to drop, I wouldn't call it an ego as such, but you have to drop that mentality of, okay, this is the guy I'm guarding, I need to try and limit him as much as possible, and switch that to, okay, this player is going to be open, or this is what the defensive set we're about to run. Who can I predict is going to be open? And I need to, predict that move and be there myself. Offense, I believe, is kind of the same as many games, professional level. There's kind of a meta on offense or strategy. So offense, I think, is roughly the same. If there's a certain dribble style, there's certain shooting signature moves or dunk moves that players kind of tend to use the same on offense. But yeah, the defensive play styles are hugely different, and I hope European players. It's quite a small scene at the moment, and they want to grow as big as North America. So it would do them some great good if they watched some North American games and watched how they play defense, and maybe they can take that style and bring it back home to Europe.
Without a doubt. Like I like that. Like for me, I could tell there's a difference. Like, there's like when me competing at COD at least, there was always a difference from NA players to European players in that sense.
Yeah.
So I can see, like, I didn't know it was that, like, for you to say, like, there's different, like, that's something to really dig into. I'm honestly interested about it, because, like, seeing two different play styles, I can only imagine, you know what I mean? Seeing an NA team going up against, like, for example, like, what is it? I seen it I believe it was last season when, type of play. So like for it to be a huge change up, and I do hope that the 2K League actually branches out a little bit. Definitely help the community. But like I said before, this podcast, man, for us it's more so to give the players that don't really have a voice or don't know how to market themselves properly, giving them the chance to be able to highlight and bring on some professional players who can be willing to give like the advice on how they got in, or how like a mindset to being able to do so. Because like a lot of these young players, after like quote Ray Lewis said, after they, like, our generation, once they feel that little small inch of pain, then they want to back off, they want to get away from it, they don't want nothing to do with it. And I feel like that's the same thing when they lose, you know what I mean? When they get to the point where they feel like they're at their lowest, they want to back off, they don't want to do it anymore, they give up on it. So I feel like once we start getting more positive, I feel like positive influences for the game to start, trying to help build the community, it'll be a lot better. Because right now, most of the influencers I've seen are kind of toxic when it comes down to promoting the game. They say the game is shit, and then their influencers say the game is shit. And from there on, we don't get anything fixed outside of someone saying, yo, they're trying to do their best, whatever, and bring a positive towards it. So that's the goal here. Okay. But I do have one more question. I'm sorry for going on my little rant. We had one more before the break. So the last question, being that you're the manager and a captain, what do you like looking for when you're going into like recruiting your players? Like if you was like, say for instance, you're a complete, like what is the mindset? Because a lot of these guys are coming in trying to team build. So like if you're going into team build, like what is the mindset that you would want to go into as building a team? Because I feel like that's the hardest part. Like obviously getting in, after you get the team, it's just playing in these solid leagues and getting your reputation up and just constantly competing. But some players can't even get past the formation of building the team.
Yeah. For me as a manager personally, I kind of look into three things when looking at a player. One is how good is their natural chemistry. I can't really look into players who don't get along well with others. They need to be able to fit into a system. They need to get along and like playing with others. If that doesn't tick a box, then right away they're out the team. Everyone knows the best teams have team chemistry, and if we can't build on that, then I don't want it to go any further. The second is game understanding. There's tiny intangibles within the game that the best players have above the kind of lower skill level players. They're minuscule things, but they can help produce 6 or 8 points or prevent 6 or 8 points a game, and they're difference makers when it comes to winning or losing a game. So I look for those players who know the tiny little details and pay attention to that and implement it into their game 24/7. And the third being is players who can play more than one position. It sounds really quite simple and basic, but if you're able to play more than one position, you're able to understand the difficulties and the success of other positions. And so by having those players in the team, you haven't got this kind of solo mindset of, okay, why aren't you doing this? You need to do this, this, that. They can understand why they can't do that, and then they can help fix that problem. We're not looking to butt heads. We're looking to try and fix the solution, understand as a team. So when we're playing with difficult and against a difficult team, and we're finding it difficult to score, we can agree on what we need to do and how to fix it. And as a player can understand, we can quickly move on and play the next possession. So as a captain, those are the three main things that I always want to look into. And then being a player as myself, I would also like those three boxes to be ticked. If I'm walking into a game and I'm playing with some other teammates, I need to be able to click with my teammates. If I can't get on well with them, my playing ability will drop. You don't get along well. You can't speak as freely as you would like to. I like to be able to play many positions because I can help expand and explain if something's going wrong.
And yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I find it as me being in the esports scene for longest and being for over 10 years and being able to be a part of some really talented teams myself and competing, I can tell you're right. If you can't have team chemistry and you're not coachable, it's a waste of time. I'm going to be honest. If you're not willing to understand, like, what I mean by coachable in my sense is being able to, like you said, understand anyone's position. You know what I mean? Understand what they're going through and being able to work well with others and being able to take constructive criticism if someone says, hey, you've done this wrong and this is how you can fix it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, a lot of players off in the 2K community, I can tell you, I can be like, hey, bruh, you messed up on this last play, and they completely flip a lid on that alone. Even if I can record it and be like, yeah, I'm streaming it, if I tell you something, I normally try to get proof of it because a lot of people get offended by it. But like that's the thing. You have to be able to humble yourself down to a level to where you're able to be coachable. If someone says, "Hey, this is what it is," then because like I can only imagine, like you said, I can only imagine how the league is to where if one of your coaches tells you this is how the play style works, are you going to snap off on them? You know what I mean? You have to take that consideration when you're going through the combine and everything else. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like. I'm really excited to see the community grow because this draft season pool was huge compared to others.
Very big.
Did you know any guys that came into it? Like, did you know anyone personally? Like, because I know there's a few European players. I know Gunnar was one of them that came through from the draft.
Yes, the two European players were Av Mario and Gunnar. Who came in from Europe. There weren't many new European players to the scene, but there are quite a lot of North American players who are new to the scene and made a name for themselves. Players such as Greenlight or Vibes, who changed his name from Glow. Obviously they were in the community and playing for a while, but this is their kind of breakout season. They really put a name for themselves, and they were able to use their platform to grow that. It's not necessarily just being able to be good at the game. You have to be able to grow with other players and make an impression on them. And a couple of those guys really did well, and they played with as many people as possible, played as much as possible while keeping a positive note and, showing not necessarily your game skills, but outside of the game skills as well. It's quite important, as you said, with team chemistry. You need to be coachable. You need to have that connection. And if you can't do that with certain players, then there's no point trying. So a lot of the new guys are, growing on their brand and showing that they're better teammates than previous players in the years. So I think it's great for the growth.
Yeah, like I think something that I would like to see is like what you said before, is working on their personal brand, because that's one of the major things I've seen in this community that a lot of people don't really like doing. And that's, putting themselves out there, putting themselves on mic, putting them on camera. And like for that's key, because how would you be able to get yourself recognized if you're not able to do that on a consistency? I get like it's very demoralizing going into, starting off a brand new channel and you're not getting the views and stuff you want, but you have to go into it. Like, I feel like I go into everything learning a new skill. You know what I mean? You can't go in expecting I need to get numbers, like, for people to notice. You can have the rawest little mixtape of your talents, and a GM can just scan over and it can be 5 views on the shit. It does not matter. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to kind of get that, because I was recognized in a fashion that way. I performed well in one small advanced warfare tournament, and it took me to getting signed to a top amateur team that contended. You see what I'm saying? That one small performance, just one, and we still lost the series. You know what I mean? We went home, but it was because I performed that well. It rose some notices around people. People are always watching, regardless if it's the small. It could be 20 people that you have on the viewership. one of those 20 people could be a big head. You never know. Anybody could be watching at any given time. So I feel like what you said, I want to like really highlight is players just really need to brand regardless of whatever it is. Doesn't matter about views. Don't think about going in and getting views. Don't think about doing like, yeah, it's nice to have over time. But if you're consistently branding yourself, being good, then those views are going to come. And that's coming as a content creator myself. Like, I don't go in my podcast thinking that I'm going to be making a sale. I go in because I love doing it. You know what I mean? Simple as that. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and hit a quick ad, and then we're going to have like a trivia segment, some generated questions for our guest, and he's going to be able to answer some. You get to know him a little bit more. All right. All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to have a little trivia segment, like I said before, and see how it turns out. All right, Harry, I have a few trivia questions that we popped up, obviously the common ones. What was your favorite food? Like, as far as, NA wise, if you had anything that was really good here, or in the whole, like as a whole, genre, favorite food?
It's going to be quite a cliche one, and it sounds weird. The fast food is so vastly different in America that I was drawn to it. I love it. My favorite was Chick-fil-A. I love that chicken over there. It was insane. We have the kind of like neutral Burger King, McDonald's over here, but Chick-fil-A is so different over there. There were so many options with what you could do with chicken and the sauces. Oh, it was perfect. I love Chick-fil-A.
He said it was perfect. All right, man. I can't even argue with that. Chick-fil-A is really good, so I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it. All right. Was there any locations? Another one. Any locations in NA that you enjoyed the most?
The two places that stood out for me was season 1 when I moved to Dallas with Mavs Gaming. I loved Dallas. There was everything I ever imagined being from England. Had the stereotypical view of Americans, country, middle of nowhere, super hot, crazy accents, and that was just perfect for me. Just going out there and like hearing these accents, everyone being so friendly and such great weather. I love Dallas to this day. And the second being Vegas. It was such a cool experience as well, flying out there for a tournament. Las Vegas is, one of the biggest name brands across the world, and it was great to go there and compete in tournaments with the game I love, and in such a great location.
Okay. All right. So I think we already answered the question on what age you started competing, but if the audience didn't pin on it, do you mind tossing your age out there?
Yeah, I started playing around 18. I started competing around 20.
Okay. So, for all you younger players who have you see, it only took 2 years. That's dedication right there, bro. Honestly, I feels it. How old are you now, currently?
23.
3, bruh. Hats off. 5 years. hats off, bro. Honestly.
Appreciate it.
For sure. All right. Big question. Who is your favorite NBA star currently, and why?
Currently is Damian Lillard. He's just got something about his game and how he plays, which is so unique from any other NBA superstar before him, which I love. There's not a single weakness to his game. He's athletic, he's quick, he can shoot, he's confident. He's got everything you could want in an NBA player, and I love everything about him. He's so clutch. He's a great leader. He's just a great person to have on the court, and I love watching him play.
Oof. I can't even argue on that one. Sheesh. Woo. You bringing some heat to the show, brother. You bringing some heat, man. All right. So to wrap everything up, here's gonna be a detailed one. How do you think the 2K community can grow as a whole based on previous years? And the side off question to that, how do you think, obviously this draft season turned out really well, but do you think the 2K League can improve, and what ways do you think it can improve even more? Because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to get involved off into the pro game scene because of the fact that they don't know much about the 2K League. It's not like the 2K League broadcast, like they do, but it's not like they broadcast all the information for public eye to see on the game. So it's very difficult. Like if you're not just really digging around the park and then you end up stumbling upon Pro-Am, if you don't really do that or do rec or anything like that, then you really are blind to what's, how to get involved.
Correct. I think the best way to kind of grow within the league itself and as a community, it's such a simple thing, but it is just personal brand and creating something that an audience can love. The biggest players in the 2K League right now, check a few names out there, Dave Fry, Goofy, Mario, BP, they're all doing something that other league players aren't. Mario's producing content on YouTube and streaming. BP was a stage player and had the whole stage community behind him. And Goofy and Dave Fry are now streaming more Pro-Am games and getting huge views. They're some of the biggest names within the 2K League and have the most fans, I guess you could call it. And that's how you grow yourself and you grow the community you're within. You have to build a face, and people want to support and grow with that face. And wherever you may go with changing different games or how you play or wherever you play, that audience will come with you. Mario's got a huge Spanish fan base, and they've all going to flock right towards Cavs Legion because they are with Mario. They're not with Cavs Legion, they're not with 2K, they're with a singular person, and that individual has the power to grow the brand of where he is or the game he's competing in. I believe players that want to grow within the league or they want to grow the league itself have to start building on their own brand and creating content and putting themselves out there, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. Some of the biggest esport games in the world, you look at, for example, Call of Duty, Scumpy, one of the biggest names out there. He was constantly producing content on YouTube and still streaming to this day. Even if you're not competing in the Pro League, League of Legends, T1 Tyler, he's never competed at a high level, but he is an individual. He has a face, and people love that player. So people always flock to his streams and support and grow with him. So if players want to see the community and their game grow, it all starts with them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, because like you mentioned, Scott, people don't understand. If you've been in the part of the COD community, like those teams didn't start off competing. Optic, Envy, and FaZe were all sniping teams. They pure content. They didn't have really good COD teams until AW when they started signing major players, because even throughout their course, they had this. Optic has some of the shittiest COD teams as well. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think about it. Like, in a sense, it was not always just about competing and winning on the highest level. It was the reason why they stayed in business is because they had a brilliant marketing with Hex behind the door and with FaZe, Temper, and all them guys. They was making so much money off their content and their revenue alone that if their fucking COD teams went to 5 events and blew all 5 of them in the first round, they could still afford it. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on it. Like, content is the works. I'm going to be honest. If you get your name out there, like I said before, I just did I casted my first professional game with Energy FC Saturday. I was uncomfortable. I went out there not knowing what I was doing. I had my press pass on. I was trying to cut you. I was uncomfortable. But at that point, you know what I mean, I got myself out there and I met some really dope people, I met people that if I wouldn't have went to the game, I wouldn't even never met at all.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I agree. If players want to really develop and really get themselves and help the community and help build the 2K League, they really need to start pushing their own branding out. Like you said, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, it only benefits them. Because you think about it, they brand themselves a lot of the time. That's when, you know, the revenue starts generating after time. That's when the subs start coming in. That's when you start getting loyal people donate. And then that becomes you just dedicating your time for like, 2 years, and people start showing up. That could be a full-time job in 2 years. You never know if you wanted to take it that far. So it's a good way of thinking for sure. But I appreciate you staying tuned and coming by and being able to talk to me. Like I know it was kind of like last minute. I wanted to try to get an interview with you a little bit earlier, but I was still working around getting panelists and stuff like that figured out, and then trying to get everything up and running. And then we had, like I said, I just had this event. So, but I'm really happy that I got to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I had fun. It was good to talk about some of the topics. Good to get off my chest. Yeah,
like, do you have anything else that you feel like you wanna address? Anything for the audience? Because we have some, like, this audience is branched in other communities. I just want you to know it's in F1, FIFA, NHL. I cover 3 or 4 different leagues to kind of have that ESPN type feel. So I kind of do want, like, other people who've never heard about this can be very interested. So if you have anything you want to say to them, because we have new people coming in every day.
Yeah, well, I guess I'd just say check the 2K community out. It's one of the smaller esports at the moment, but it's been growing ever since 2K League was created. Countries across the world now starting to open doors. Places like Turkey and Spain, which no one would ever thought would bat an eyelid at the game or the sport itself, have created huge esport teams and love creating content. And it's a slow building brand. So, if you're in North America or Europe, check out the vice versa continents and, try and enjoy the gameplay and brands and grow with the community itself.
Right. I was glad to be able to be a part of it because, man, I'm going to be real, I learned a lot. And this is coming from me, like I'm new to the scene too. So being able to speak to you and you being able to give us pretty much a solid gist of how everything works, like a little more insider, it's greatly appreciated. So, sure. All right, guys, we're going to end it on that note. The visual segment will be out on YouTube a bit early, so stay tuned to that. But we do thank you. Appreciate your time. Talk to you guys later.